Good evening, greetings from Israel, Jerusalem, Jane, standing here with a fan. It's so hot, we're in the midst of a heat wave. Let me just give me a 5, 6, 7 minute update about what happened here today. Israel's foreign minister and Israel's defense minister was hosting members of the United Nations Security Council, actually down here in the streets in the foreign ministry, presenting evidence how it's the Iranians who are behind some of these attacks we have seen on different ships lately. Well, shocker, well, not really, it's not a shocker. But Israel presented concrete evidence. Iran is behind this. They even gave the name and the photo of the guy who are the mastermind behind this. While all of this is going on, all of a sudden there is code red. Rocket attack is happening up north in Kiryat Shmona. 3 rockets were fired from Lebanon towards Israel. 1 rocket didn't manage to go across the border, but 2 rockets fell in open territory inside Israel, and I've been sharing about it all day on my social media. Only by God's grace and miracles did these rockets not land smack down on a car in the streets or in a house, God forbid. So no casualties, no wounded, no injuries, but the paramedics, of course, was treating people for shock. So we saw the video with the impact of these rockets landing down in an open territory, literally right next to highways where a lot of cars were driving, right next to residential buildings. And of course, when they struck down, they started fires, which could have been horrible because we are in the midst of a heat wave here in Israel. So these fires could have gotten completely out of control. So this is a sovereign state. Israel is a sovereign state, and she was attacked today by 3 rockets coming from Lebanon. Sources think that these were independent Palestinian fractions up in Lebanon firing into Israel. Some experts are saying nothing that happens from Hezbollah being fired into Israel happens without the knowledge of Hezbollah. But it was not Hezbollah who fired. Then it would have been a whole lot more than just 3 rockets. Today is the anniversary of the huge explosion that happened in the port of Beirut, Lebanon, last year. So of all days, rockets were firing into Israel today. If you have paid attention to the news, we all know that Lebanon is in serious crisis. They are literally bankrupt up there. People are demonstrating out in the streets. They can't seem to manage to form any government. So it's a huge mess up there. At the same time, when Israel's defense minister was meeting with these ambassadors today, they were saying Iran is only 10 weeks away from having material to make a nuclear bomb. Israeli military people and American military people have been meeting lately, and there are some speculations if Israel and America is coordinating some sort of attack. And today the defense minister Benny Gantz was saying to these ambassadors, Israel has every right to protect herself and to do what is needed. So while Iran is using proxies to attack Israel and proxies to attack all of these naval ships, Israel knows exactly who they are. They know where they are, and Israel could maybe be planning a preemptive attack on Iran before they attack us. That was one of the things the former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu always said, that we will always protect ourselves and we will do what needs to be done. So these are definitely interesting times and serious times. The United Nations peacekeepers are up on the border up north between Israel, Syria, and Lebanon, and they are completely useless. Absolutely useless. I don't know what they're doing, but of course their spokespersons were out today saying we want to encourage, to show massive restraint. It's peculiar how Israel always has to show massive restraint when Israel is the one who's being attacked from Syria, from Lebanon, and when rockets are firing from the terrorists inside Gaza, Israel always has to show massive restraint. The IDF went into Lebanon. They retaliated. We were firing from tanks today 3 times. The IDF was attacking terror targets inside Lebanon, and they came out now saying that we are not done retaliating from this. So we are so grateful for the Israeli Defense Forces, 24/7, 365. They are protecting us here in Israel, doing what needs to be done. So yet another normal day. It's hot. We're in a heat wave. It's August. It's summer holiday. Jewish people are just out minding their own business, and all of a sudden, as a sovereign state, they are being attacked by rockets flying in from another nation. So thank you to all of you for standing in the gap for Israel for such a time as this. The defense minister, the chief of staff of the army, and Israel's Prime Minister Bennett all had meeting today, assessments meeting on how to move forward. So you can rest assured that everything is on high alert. It is always on high alert regarding Israel and the borders around Israel, but they are looking to Syria, they're looking to Lebanon, they have their eyes on the Gaza Strip, and much of this is also, again, internal conflicts with Hamas and Gaza, the Palestinian authorities, and then we have Iran and all of their proxies. And Israel is this tiny little nation who could be maybe someday in a multi-war front war, literally, where Israel is being attacked up north and then rockets could come from Gaza. Israel has had several big drills and exercising, preparing for that day when a war will come on numerous fronts. So as always, thank you for standing in the gap for Israel for such a time as this. My hair is flying around a little bit, but it is so hot, so I'm using a fan. So thank you for standing with Israel at this time. We need all of you amazing people to be the watchmen on the walls for such a time as this. Bye.